good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are from the many parts of the world. My name is Michael Mangenji, and today I'm going to be continuing this discussion about AI. In particular, I'm going to be going specifically into AI governance. I'll introduce my co-host, my guest today, Mr. Munya.
What's going on, everybody? So I'm back, and yeah, I'm just here to learn, and I'm here to support my good brother as he walks us through AI governance and everything to do with AI. I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. So last time, if you did get the chance to watch my last video, if you didn't, it's okay. It's available out there on YouTube. We spoke about AI, which is artificial intelligence, an emerging trend that's pretty much taken over the world in all sorts of industries: automotive, healthcare, retail. Pretty much anything you can think about these days has something to do with AI related. So today, what we're going to be specifically talking about is AI, artificial intelligence governance. So what that is, in a nutshell, and we'll go into detail, is basically the policing around the use and what goes in, what comes out of any AI generated activity. Any good thing that is discovered, that is invented, eventually can be used for nefarious purposes. So, eventually, down the line, some sort of policing, some sort of governance, laws, rules, and regulations have to be put in place to make sure that there's no misuse, there's no mistakes being made. So, based on what I've said so far, do you have any questions, or should we jump straight in?
I don't have any questions. I think it's a, I think it's a good topic because everyone would want to know. Because based on the comments that I was getting from the previous episode,
All right,
everybody wants to know, okay, how are we going to control all of this? It's kind of like the movie I, Robot, right? When the
exactly.
robot just kind of, lost control and was doing a thing of its own. And we are under the impression that AI kind of like improves itself to the point where people get worried that it's going to be more intelligent than the human being. So how do we know the ceiling, and will it not take over? So it's a very interesting topic.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. AI behind the scenes, there's what's called machine learning. It is learning every day as we go based on the information that's being input into it and whatever's out there on the internet. So just like the internet is basically the wild wild west, there's very good information and there's bad information. So good use use cases of AI, it definitely makes things more improved efficiency in doing certain processes. Um, what I'll do is I'll use the healthcare insurance industry since that's what I'm familiar with, and I'll use that as a case study as an example. Um, like I said, there's the good uses. It improves efficiency, fraud detection, customer care service. We got bots that actually associate or communicate, interact with the customers, but to make sure that the information coming or into it or being spewed by the AI is correct, we need some sort of governance. So I'm gonna give you an example. Really, if there could be a case where a patient's life is at risk and some AI generated program refuses a claim for that patient, that could jeopardize that patient's life. So there's a framework of rules that are already in place. So anyone familiar with the healthcare industry, there's what's called HIPAA, and that is out there to protect patient information, what we call PHI and SPI. So PHI is personal protected health information. SPI is, a little bit of a level above. We're now talking about social security numbers, etc. That's information that could be used to generate credit cards and so forth. So go on, Mr. Manu.
Yeah, I was gonna say for my people in the UK, that is the Data Protection Act.
Yes.
So it's pretty much the US version of that.
That's, and we actually have borrowed a lot from the UK Data Protection Act. So a lot of the things you see in HIPAA is also in the Data Protection Act. In fact, the Data Protection Act, not just only in the UK, in Europe, from my own point of view, it's actually a little bit better. It's more comprehensive than what we have so far. So one of the first things is, in order to protect information that's coming out of these AI systems, we definitely need to make sure that the information is encrypted. So encryption simply means that when information is transmitted from one end to another, there's less likelihood of someone in between capturing that information. So that's called
And compromising the information.
and compromising the information. That's called encryption in transit. There's also what we call encryption at rest, which is where information is stored in a database on a computer. If someone tries to take like the hard drive and access the information without the encryption keys, they cannot access that information. So that's just an example of some of these what we call controls and the governance that's supposed to be in place to protect AI generated information. These are not new controls, but we also need to make sure that it applies to AI as well. So
Yeah, I was gonna say it kind of remind me. Those of you that use WhatsApp, it kind of reminds me. You'll get a message saying this message is encrypted, meaning that it's sort of like protected. Nobody else
Right.
is going to see the message, right? And we have other platforms that have better what you call it? What you say the word?
encryption.
Yeah, that
Exactly.
security than others. You know, I'm very bad with the pronunciation, but yeah.
Yeah, so another way, this is just a test. Information that's coming out of AI or processes that have to be controlled by AI have to be tested. Just like with the self-driving vehicles that are out there these days, before it's given out to the general public, it has to go through thorough testing. Can you imagine a situation where, I mean, accidents have happened most during testing, and now with the vehicles, they've gotten to a point where they're pretty comfortable to let them out there in the streets. I know San Francisco, they have a cab hailing service where there's no driver, and I know Tesla is just about to release something like that. But a lot of testing has to be done on any processes, if it's manufacturing, if it's chat boxes. So testing is one of the things that needs to be included in within AI governance. The next thing is we need to make sure that information coming out of there is accurate and is fair. So basically, that means avoiding bias. There's a possibility that information coming out of the AI generated system can be viewed as biased. I can give you an example where maybe you give your system a prompt. Can you create a video of children dancing in the street? And the system may generate just maybe white children dancing on the street, and you'd be like, well, that's not representative of the society. Or can you show me a video of children in Africa? Then it'll show you maybe the poor children suffering from hunger, malnutrition, and so forth, which is not really indicative of what's happening in most cases. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, if you watched the first episode, if y'all watched the first episode, we were talking about probability and stuff like that and ways to reduce this bias that you're talking about.
Right.
So my question would be, I know governance, like what we talking about, looks at all of that to make sure that it's fair.
Right.
But I don't, I don't understand how the balance is going to be there, because obviously whoever is the people that are responsible for making sure that information that goes into the AI itself, those people themselves, they will have their own personal biases. So who is to govern those people to make sure that the governance is governed? If it makes sense.
It does make sense. So usually there's a select special group of people called the governance board. It includes people coming in from legal, people coming in from privacy and compliance, people coming in from
Okay.
the engineers, people coming in from maybe the customer service. There's actually a board that's out there. Bias, you cannot 100% eliminate it, but you can reduce it because with bias sometimes comes discrimination.
Yeah.
So, for
Like the
example,
laws, right? Like laws and legislation, right? It
exactly.
has certain biases depending on what you're looking at.
Exactly. So, okay, you can have a system determining who gets approved for certain loans or for certain mortgages and so forth. And you would need to run a test to make sure it's not discriminating on people coming from certain zip codes, people coming from certain, even age discrimination. I mean, even race,
Sexism.
sexism. There's a lot of factors that can be counted in for discrimination. So the more you test, first of all, that governance board is really a group of trusted people. You should also do what we call audits, even if the system is implemented down the line, maybe every 6 months. Try to see the information coming out and making sure it's accurate. And really, that's some of the governing principles for AI. So if anyone has done data governance, it is almost the same, but now we're focusing more
AI
on the AI.
side of things.
So, like I said in the previous video, there's what we call trust. Trust is really one of the biggest issues with AI. You need to be able to trust the system, not only to give you accurate information, but sometimes you need to trust it to make sure it's not being used against you. I'm sure you've heard in most cases where criminals are caught, they will basically run a search on their Google searches and see, oh, this guy was searching, how do you hide stolen gold from this? So sometimes you need to be able to, to trust the system that the information you're inputting cannot be used.
Yeah.
And not only that, that the information is giving you back is accurate. So early examples of AI in mapping systems, I'm sure you remember when Apple released their GPS version or their Maps version. This was probably more than 10 years ago. There was instances where drivers were being led astray, led to destinations or places that didn't exist. So this was the early, you remember those days,
Yeah, I
right?
remember. But I'm going to digress a little bit. I
Yeah,
remember somebody had like a bunch of phones. I'm talking about a bunch of phones, and
right,
they went on Google Maps, right? And they put directions on each and every phone, and
right.
they put them into a case, and they drove to a particular location. And then the Google around that area was saying there was a traffic jam because there was like
Eh,
cars on top of cars and stuff like that. And it kind of caused a glitch in the system as
oh
far as
yeah,
that's
so
concerned because it was so these are some of the things. I know it's a far-fetched example, but these are some of the things that you know the ordinary person who doesn't understand a lot about AI, somebody like myself, that you will worry about, like, okay, does it settle you more knowing that they got all of this, or do you actually get worried? Does it add to the worry? I don't know. And that's the reason why we're doing these episodes, so you could kind of understand more, whether it's good, whether it's bad. I mean, like I said in the previous episode, we don't have any choice because AI is already taken over.
yeah, that's a perfect example of someone glitching the system. N- Probably they did not anticipate or they didn't think of that scenario where a person has 50 phones going to the same location. Yeah, it'll seem like there's a major congestion in any area because normally it's trying to see based on the map how many phones, GPS systems are active, and give you uh, it'll give you a situation where it says there's a congestion. So back to my earlier example, when this was Apple Maps, when they were still learning, it'll take you to the wrong location completely. And some people trusted the AI to the extent where I don't know if it's true. Some person went down a cliff or something like that. Um, so what I said, you need to be able to trust the system, and that's really one of the main principles of AI. So you need to trust the systems to make sure the information that's being generated is accurate. And this is where continuous testing and these sometimes it doesn't need to be laws by the government. These can be internal regulations, internal security policies and procedures within your organization, where you make sure that the information you're feeding it is accurate, and you always make sure you're testing to make sure the information that's coming out is accurate as well. So we spoke about discriminatory biases. We spoke about just the transparencies of the algorithms. This is the computer programs that's pulling information from here to there and giving you the results. Yeah, go ahead.
While we at it, and I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Can you explain what the algorithm is?
So in layman's term, a lot of you use social.
I thought you were gonna say a lot of you watch The Matrix.
No, we may not have sci-fi fans. And okay, a lot of you use social media, Facebook, Instagram, so forth. You've noticed that once you've started looking at a particular type of video, they keep coming out. Maybe you've searched for it. You now see a string of these videos. I know some of you are fans of pets. There's the cat lovers, the dog lovers. You start seeing cute videos of dogs. There's a gross example. I don't know. This happened to me yesterday. I happened to click on one of those videos with I don't know if it's a Dr. Pimple Popper. You start. I know. So basically, an algorithm is a computer program that's making determinations based on what you search for. It's part of the decision-making process. So yeah, I
Right.
think that's really the simplest answer I can give you. On
So
what,
basically, you're saying this is a system that generates information to give you based on the calculations of what you've already watched in the past, or based on the predictions of your behavior online.
yeah, so it pretty much scores. First of all, it maybe keeps a little bit of your history. It scores. So when I say something like I like watching documentaries, that's a pretty broad term. In my case, this is maybe YouTube. It'll start giving me documentaries of computer technology, AI, and so forth, because this is what I've looked for before. In some cases, you may simply say music if you're, say, maybe a Taylor Swift fan or a Jay-Z fan. I was gonna say a different name, but I
So basically, it'll keep giving you the same kind of things
right,
that are like in the similar lane, or somebody that may
right.
sound like, if you like Taylor Swift, you probably like this artist and that artist, and it
That
kind
is
of helps you in
correct.
that way.
So it's
Right.
not gonna go astray and start giving me, I don't know, Diwali music. I like Diwali music, but it's not what I search for every day. So
Right.
it's trying to make prediction. That's really what an algorithm is.
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of you have seen. Yeah, go
You
ahead.
know what I'm saying? I was gonna say I'm sorry, because I know asking that question kind of made you then go off track and go on a tangent. So I wanted to
Yeah.
bring you back to what you were going to talk about.
No, same thing. This is algorithm. I was saying, I'm sure a lot of you have seen, even in your suggested searches, or you start seeing ads for certain things that they know you like, because the algorithm is saying you in a certain demographic. You're a male. you're between 20 and 25. You live in this certain area, so it's making those predictions based on the information. So yeah. The other thing is we need to make sure that anything coming in and out of AI is bound to privacy laws. You wouldn't want these systems mistakenly emailing your diagnosis, your bank account information to everyone out there. Because, it could be a certain little glitch where it picks up email addresses for anyone that's at a certain hospital, at a certain bank,
Yeah.
and it sends out this information, and it's not supposed to be sent out to everyone. It's supposed to be sent out to you. On the same track, this is where the bad actors can take advantage of the quicker processing. Now, they don't need to go into each account individually and quote unquote hack it. They can create, I'm not trying to give you guys an idea, but they can create an intelligent program that will capture all this information, send it all at once. The reason why they really get this information is a lot of times is to sell it on what's called the dark web. There's a lot of money to be gained. Sometimes one person's record, social security, name, date of birth, and so forth, they can sell it for, like, say, $100, $200. But imagine if they have thousands of records from one of the biggest banks or
Right.
one of the biggest companies out there. That's millions. Sometimes they really don't want to sell it. Uh, they simply want ransom. They can create intelligent ransomware programs that once you pay the ransom, usually it's in Bitcoin, which is not trackable. They'll release your program. So, any questions on that part?
No, that was pretty clear. So obviously, we want to keep it nice and short for everybody. We don't want to make it too long. So we're going to touch on a few more subjects, whatever we have to talk about, because we want to keep the episodes like at most 15 minutes at most. So yeah, so I'll let you get into the next, hop on to the
Yeah,
next
so
topic.
the next topic, and that's going to be my last one.
Mhm.
We need to make sure that everything that the AI system consumes, produces, is within confines of the law. Unfortunately, the laws are a little bit behind the technology, so some of what's possible has not even been defined by the law. But you don't want these systems giving out information or creating chaos, creating havoc out there. So whatever law is in place right now, whoever is in your governance board, they need to be familiar with city, state, the country, or even the zone laws if it's EU or something like that. So basically, whatever policies you end up creating, you would map to the laws or the regulations that are in place. Like Munya said, we want to keep it short. If you have any questions, comments, put them down there in the comment section.
Yeah.
This really was supposed to be the layman's version of maybe not really a training session, just an understanding session on what governance is all about. And if you have any suggestions for any topics,
Yeah, drop
IT
them in the comment section.
related, IT security related, governance, and AI, please drop them in the comment section. This is our second video. With your support, we're gonna get better and better. And yeah, I'm sure you saw last week's. We making improvements, and with your support, we'll make it happen. Any parting words, Mr. Munya?
Yes, sir. Y'all subscribe to the channel. Like Mr. Mike said, any suggestions, drop them in the comment section. You know, we just trying different things out. Any suggestions, just drop them. Before we go, I watched a podcast a couple of days ago, and he was saying that they were skeptical about developments that are going on these days. I'm talking about everything from a digital currency to self-drive cars to cameras everywhere. Like if you ever go to China, they have cameras everywhere too. When they looking for an individual, they have facial recognition cameras, all integrated into AI. So the skepticism behind this was they are trying to create environmental little cities and stuff where the AI will control. Like you have your car, and they have like geofencing as far as your car is concerned. That if you drive away from this particular borders, if you drive away from the borders, that means you can get a charge, or they're going to be able to see where you are at every time, as far as your bank account, your phone, and everything is connected. So conspiracy theories, I don't know, whatever you guys call it, they were saying this is all going towards that, to where everybody is going to be accounted for, and your currency, your money, and everything is going to be, the future is going to be based on a quota, or basically on a point based system, to where if you do something wrong, because that's what they're doing in China, like if you have certain points towards income and everything. And
Right.
if you reach a certain kind of like driving points in the UK, to where if you have certain points on your license, then your license gets revoked. So this is some of the skepticism around AI, and I mean to to make the pod longer, the episode longer, but these are some of the things we're going to delve into, and I know y'all got so many questions, because I know I do, but
That's an interesting topic. I think we gotta go deep into that without going too far.
yeah.
The technology to do all that is already
It's already
is
that's what
already
I'm saying.
there.
That's what I was saying. Like it's very important that we learn as much as we can about AI, because all of this stuff is already been going on right under our noses, and we don't know. Some pop up, and we want you guys to be able to recognize, like, oh, that what they were talking about.
Right.
I like traveling, so I'll look at different things, comparing different countries, Africa, Europe, the Americas and stuff like that, and just kind of consolidating the information and comparing where the world is going. So, there it is. And I'm not really tech. I am a little bit, but I'm not really like AI savvy like that. So that's why we got Mr. Mike, and that's why we got this. But yes, sir, man. I appreciate you,
All
man.
right, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it, and
We're gonna catch y'all on the next one.
catch up with you next week.
All right, peace.